Hey, Learning for Good listener. I appreciate you joining me each week to get tips and tricks for nonprofit L&D pros. I love sharing my experience and bringing you top guests from the field. But I'm not the only one doing the work around here. This podcast is edited and produced by my friends at Idea Blossoms. Idea Blossoms partners with consultants and organizations who either have or want to start a podcast. They do everything from the initial podcast launch to monthly podcast management and can support you with audio and video editing, as well as content repurposing if you want to share key ideas through blogs or newsletters or social media. I'm sharing this for two reasons. One, I am so grateful for Idea Blossoms and how they help me bring episodes to you each week. But two, I know many of you have or have considered offering a podcast as part of your learning strategy. As a key contributor and sponsor of this podcast, Idea Blossoms is offering an exclusive 30% discount for Learning for Good listeners, applied to the first invoice. They have 2 spots open for 2025, so head to ideablossoms.com or email Rosa at ideablossoms.com to get started. You can find links in the show notes. And don't forget to mention the Learning for Good podcast to claim this incredible offer.
Hey friend, do you want to offer meaningful learning solutions that create behavior change, fit in the flow of work, and yield real results for your nonprofit? If yes, this is the podcast for you. Join me as I explore instructional design and leadership development best practices, as well as change management, belonging, and influence. If we haven't met yet, I'm Heather, and I've been in your shoes. I'm a learning and development consultant and founder of Skill Masters Market. Before starting my business, I led learning and leadership development initiatives for a large national nonprofit. I know what it's like to need to develop your staff quickly and effectively and to build the relationships and cut through the organizational layers to be successful. And I'm bringing all of that to you in this podcast. So block your calendar, turn off your Teams or Slack chat, and let's dive in. It's Learning for Good.
You know that feeling when you have to work around someone? I know I do. I can remember working with someone who was absolutely amazing. And she was so smart. She was well respected, full of energy, just magnetic in so many ways. And I loved being around her and I loved working with her, except I knew I'd be working around her. When it came time to follow through, I would be on my own. It didn't matter how many emails I sent, how many reminders, I would never see the things that she promised me. Does this sound familiar? Yeah, your team is passionate. They get along great, but deadlines are missed and follow through is inconsistent. So what do? That's what I want to talk about today. How can we create accountability for our staff so that we can elevate performance in a values-aligned, trust-based way? Let's dive in. It's Learning for Good. It's hard to have a high-performing team if people aren't held accountable for their work. But I know so many of you are trying to create that high performance standard in your organization. Your mission is important and you want to be a great place to work where you can easily attract great employees and keep them. Because when we could create that place to work, that high performance team, we can better serve our customer, fuel our growth, and deliver on our mission. So what do? Do we train people? Today, I want to share 3 non-training solutions that can improve staff accountability. The first is to communicate. We need people to communicate clearly. Clear is kind. We need clear roles, clear responsibilities, clear expectations on our teams. So we have to communicate clearly. We also have to communicate with influence. Why should someone else do the thing that you've asked them to do? How will it benefit the organization? How will it benefit the team? How will it benefit them? So yeah, you could create training on how to communicate. But at the end of the day, our team members need to know how to communicate clearly and with influence. Number 2, give feedback. We need to have a feedback habit where we are delivering both positive and constructive feedback. It's important that we do both. We want to celebrate wins. We want to show gratitude when people do follow through. We want that positive, values-based environment. But we also have to be constructive because we have to be able to improve performance. And if something is missed, we need to be able to improve on that. And one framework for doing that is to introduce the situation behavior impact model. Here's the situation. Here's what you did or didn't do. And here's the impact of that. It's behavior focused, not person focused, not character focused. Can you train people to give feedback? Of course. We want to make sure we're allowing people, we're prompting people know the expectation is to give feedback. The third thing we can do is to create culture. We want to create a culture where staff accountability is the norm. So one way to do that is to have your project teams co-create their team norms together. There's a little bit of positive peer pressure that happens because everybody's in it together. There's shared expectations, shared goals, shared norms, right? There's this alignment that happens. We also want to create a culture where feedback is normalized. Again, using the positive and the constructive, using a situation behavior impact type framework, that will help normalize it. But at the end of the day, it has to be practiced for it to feel natural. And then the third piece of this culture is we want to make sure we have open communication on the team. Now, let's talk about why these things work. We have 3 non-training solutions. We can set those expectations that we need to communicate clearly and with influence. We can set the expectation that we need to be able to give feedback and how. We can also help people create a culture where this feels good and it feels natural. Why does that work? It's actually built on behavior change and habit formation. If you want people to make a change, they need to have a prompt to change. They need to be aware of those expectations. So communicating clearly becomes the prompt. Your people also have to want to change. Communicating with influence helps connect the behavior to a positive outcome. And we're connecting it to the outcome for the organization, for the team, and for the individual person. That's motivating. And then as we celebrate those wins and we show gratitude, that reinforces their desire to be accountable. Your people also need a new routine to implement that change. So being clear about their roles and their responsibilities will help create this new routine. And so does creating that culture where the team norm is to follow through. People also want a reward. They want to feel like what they're doing is worth it. And again, this is where that feedback comes in. You're celebrating those wins as a team and you're celebrating them and their work. And you're doing it all in community. Bringing that whole team alongside is a huge part of this. It creates that peer accountability. It creates that shared ownership and that support system. So that's how you can improve accountability and elevate performance. Can you train for these things? Yeah, sure. Sort of. I talked as we went through, right? You can train people to communicate. You can train people on how to give feedback. But that's just a piece of the puzzle. Training alone is rarely the only solution. So if you're finding yourself in this situation, test out these 3 non-training solutions first. I'll see you next time on Learning for Good.
Hey friend, was this episode helpful for you? Did you like what you heard? Do you want more content like this? Here are 3 things you can do. Hit subscribe. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Share this episode with a colleague. This means so much to me personally. I read every review, but it also helps me learn what content you like most so I can create more of what you want. All right, turn that Teams or Slack chat back on when you're ready, and I'll see you next time on Learning for Good.